Hey, are we live?
I believe we're live.
My YouTube channel went off.
Where'd it go?
We are live. Yes, we are. Okay. Welcome to Grow Forward Live with Hadas and Sarah. We are excited to be back today. Hadas, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We all here in Israel survived an earthquake this week. We survived a lot of rain and cold, and we survived. And we've got a very exciting event coming up next week, which is the Our Crowd event. And we haven't had it since COVID started, but if you're not familiar with Our Crowd is when startups from all over, first of all over Israel, but all over the world, venture capitalists and startups come together. I think Anne Hathaway is going to be with us this next week, and they've got a very, very great lineup. But you've got these amazing workshops going on all day long, and insights into some of the most innovative startups that are going on. It's a whole week, but there's one full day where they just go all out. And I've never been in an event like this. You go in, I mean, the breakfast spreads, then the lunch spreads, and the dinner spreads, and the coffee there's coffee booths, cappuccino booths flowing all over the place, and and you meet so many amazing people. And it's back for the first time in 3 years. So we're very excited about it, especially for us, Sarah, because we're a startup. And so we're really excited that we're going to be there this year. So
that's awesome. About how many people go to that event?
I think this year, I would think there'll probably be a good, I don't know, did I see 25,000, or let's just say around 15,000, I think, probably.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
It
sounds fun.
And fun. It is so much fun.
Well, I'm excited about that. And I just want to mention that, Hadassah, we're a startup. Well, actually, Olive Tree has been around for over 10 years. However, the Academy is a startup. Wow. Olive Tree has 5 branches of service, and we began the Academy to help entrepreneurs and visionaries and designers, possibly marketing managers, just those who really want to grow their vision, grow their projects forward. And part of that was last year, yes. Between Hadas and I, we developed the Blockit Planner. I'm going to show you right here. And I think that it was a very pivotal move for us because, and foundational, because in everything that we do, in our whole professional journey, planning is such a crucial part of what we have done. And this planner really does summarize over probably 30 years of experience into one system that really does work. And we've been going through it every week, just kind of sharing with you the planning system, the mindset behind the planning system. A few weeks back, we talked about procrastination and self-sabotage. And then we kind of got into our vision board, and then working on our monthly plan, and then our weekly plan. And today it's all about the daily do's. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so with that, I'm just going to share my screen, unless you had anything further to add before we get going.
I have a lot to say, but we can say it as we go along. Absolutely.
All right. Okay, so let me share my screen. Give me 1 second.
Most exciting.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I can see it.
Okay.
I got it. See it.
All right. So we have our daily do's here. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. So one of the most kind of glitchy things about a normal planner is that you have the weekly planning every 7 days, and then you have your task list, right, of everything you're going to do. And if you fill it in, great. If you don't, those pages just go left empty, because the next time you pick it up, you're also, usually in the next week, and you're filling out the next week. And there's no synergy or symmetry between the month, the week, and the day. And so we created a planner with that synergy and symmetry. You tackle the month, and then you tackle the week, but the daily do's have their own section. We don't divide them into 7 days, 5 days, 10 days. You can access them anytime you want. Now, you'll notice the very first thing we have at the top is to do self-care, learning, family, and friends. This is personal. This is not your projects. This is personal. This is when you wake up in the morning or you remember the day before, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do this. Actually, I just wrote down something just now. And so when you have the to-do, this is where you're throwing, if you want to do some laundry, you want to go run some errands, you want to do some groceries. Oh, I've got to go get mustard. Okay. This is, your daily do's is really what you personally need to do that day. Your self-care, the reason, you might think, well, I know my self-care. However, holding yourself accountable to self-care means that you have to check in with yourself. And the way to check in with yourself every day is with self-care. Are you, and now I know this sounds so silly, especially if you're an adult. However, everybody is a little bit different. Are you exercising every day? Do you have your plan for exercise? Do you have your facial care in place? In fact, if you go on Pinterest, you'll find all these do-it-yourself creams, anti-aging creams for your face. Are you putting together the proper care package for your skin? That you need to do that. And so are you stretching every day? These are real fundamental things. Are you feeding your brain every day? And I'm talking about feeding your brain the right foods, your omegas, your MCTs, your oils. Are you taking care of yourself? Then you talk about feeding the brain. You should be learning something new every day. Learning is a key to keeping your brain active. So I'll tell you a couple of my just top twos. For self-care, I feed my brain a half a tablespoon of MCT oil every morning, and it keeps my memory sharp. A huge difference. Okay. Then in learning, you should learn something new every day, or cause your mind to be challenged. Something that sparks an idea, a thought. So one of the things I do to do that is I have Castro, I have all my podcasts, the ones I've chosen. So in the morning, while I'm taking a shower, I will turn on a podcast that, whatever I feel like, whatever genre I feel like listening to for that day, and so I'll learn something new in the 3 major categories I like to live in. So I do that every day. Also reading, of course, every time I sit down and read the Torah in the morning, I'm focusing, I'm learning something new. Okay, so that is your meditation, your prayer. That is very important. And then learning, also you will have learning for your business. I do plug that in here, even though it's not personal, but if you're an entrepreneur, It's personal. So you want to get that in. Then when we come to family and friends, it is so important, especially if you're a loner, if you're the kind that you could work all day, you're like a horse, with blinders on. You just you don't even know the other world exists out there, right? You can go weeks without talking to your family, your friends. Yeah, I'm here. Come on. Anytime you want to come over, pop over. But, I ain't going nowhere. And so, and by the way, that's a tip for entrepreneurs, especially if you're ADD or ADHD. Distractions are deadly. And let me just re-say that. Distractions are deadly. And if you are an ADD or ADHD person, especially an ADD, and you're a hyper-focused individual, distractions are deadly. They get you off course, and it will take you days, sometimes hours, sometimes days, sometimes weeks to get back on track. It'd be just the way you're wired. Don't feel guilty about it. It's just the way you're wired. So instead of allowing distractions, you actually take what could be a distraction and you plug it into your schedule. And one of those, now family and friends are not distractions, they are vital relationships. But if you just let them pop in and out of your life whenever they want, then you are the one that will get distracted. So in this case, you want to every week, in fact, every day, who can I text that is a family or friend to encourage them? You want to encourage someone every day. You want to give them some kind of positive message. Tell them you love them. You want to do that. You also, this is the place, okay, today, who do I want to talk to? If you want to chat with somebody, if you want to meet up with, you're going to meet up with lunch. Now, when you're planning your weekly, I always reserve Shabbats and Shabbat dinner. Okay. So, and usually Shabbat dinner, but on Fridays, that's my day where I cook and I visit friends. So a lot of times we have a lunch every Friday, all right? And then I always plan who I'm going to be with on Shabbat dinner every Friday night. And then if I'm going to go to lunches, I'm going to have meetings with friends for study sessions, like we call them shiurim. Then I do that on Saturday. So I pretty isolate that, but I have what's called Wacky Wednesday. So on Wednesday nights, if I feel like calling a friend and going out, or if I feel like doing something, or if they feel like doing something, stopping by, whatever, I plug in an hour or two for that. So, I just call it Wacky Wednesday. It's kind of the middle. It's just reserved for family and friends. Sometimes I take it, sometimes I don't, but it's really good to get out and do things. So that's what we do with the daily do's. We get them up there. And let me talk about the doing part of it. One of the biggies is running errands. So we have a joke with one of my friends. Okay, I have a friend that she batches all of her errands. So she writes down the list, then she says, okay, this is this group, this group, this group, this is where I go for this, this, and this. She does it all in one go. But her husband, she says, I need this. And she might need 3 things, but he will only go one thing at a time. He never tasks, but he just goes out one thing at a time. Well, believe it or not, a lot of us do that. A lot of us think in our brain, boom, I need this. And then we say, okay, I'm going to go to the store, especially again, if you're an entrepreneur, you're working from home, you think, oh my gosh, I need apple cider vinegar. Oh, okay, well, let me take a 5-minute break, go to the local store, get my apple cider vinegar and come back. That is so unproductive. And so why do we put these to-dos? Because what we're going to do as we move through, and you'll see it, we're going to task batch, or we're going to category batch, and you're going to see what I'm talking about in just a minute. All right, anything you'd like to add to that, Sarah, on the to-dos, self-care, learning, family, and friends section? Anything you do special?
Nothing to add as far as on the list, but when you said about the distractions, I think that most people in this digital age we're living in are on the spectrum of ADD slash ADHD. And so it is a skill that I think everyone should have, this like what to do with distractions. So that was a good point there.
I will say I was going to leave this for a little bit later, but I'll plug it in right now since you brought it up. So when we're going to talk about how to create the practice of daily planning, one of the keys to creating that practice is not starting your day with the telephone, the iPhone, the smartphone, the internet, everything that puts you into other people's lives, other people's choices, other people's decisions. The first part of your morning, and it should be about 2 hours, depending on when you get up. So for some people, it might be 15 minutes, but really, if you can start to schedule yourself so you have a minimum of 1 hour in the morning where you work on all 4 of these things, all right? You do a little bit of learning, you get to the gym, you do some, even if you don't get to the gym, do 15 minutes of exercise, do your core work, do your push-ups, do your sit-ups, do that before you get on your telephone. The next thing is, your planning. So you've got your meditation, your prayer, you have your exercise, and you have your prep, your planning. Those are the things you should get out of the way before you ever pick up your telephone. And if you will do that, when I said there's 3 things we're going to talk about today that will 10x your productivity, that is number 1. This phone is not, well, first of all, let me just say it like this. It's not your God. It doesn't have control over you. It doesn't control you. You control it.
I think
go ahead. Nobody's going to miss you for an hour.
the going back to self-sabotage, this is an area that people self-sabotage, is the time wasting, the procrastination, which is a self-sabotaging mechanism. But the phone is such a time sucker that, whatever you're doing on it, you could spend an hour or more on social media in the morning when you could have been doing something else that really does benefit you so much more. You're sowing so much more into your life, into your spirit, into your soul, than scrolling on social for an hour.
I think that's an excellent point, what you just said. And let's kind of put this in a box, right? I want to really segregate this. If you will learn how and really kind of create the habit, we're going to be talking about that too. But if you will learn how to take care of your personal daily dues first thing in the morning, there's something that's going to happen to you. First of all, you're not going to be scattered all day long. You will still have time to do social media. If you're an entrepreneur, sometimes you've got to engage with your audience, and that there is a place for that actually in the morning, but not first thing in the morning. And the other thing is, how often at the end of the day, when you don't feel like going to the gym and you don't feel like doing anything but vegging, right? You think to yourself, oh man, I don't feel like going to the gym. It's another day I haven't worked out. And in place of that frustration, internal frustration, will cause a lot of things. It can cause you to open the refrigerator or whatever, get out the binge food. It really actually causes a self-defeating attitude. But when you have everything out of the day, finished before you even start your day, or at least a good portion of it finished, and then you can schedule the rest during the day, you actually feel like, whoa, I'm going to crush the day. Yes. And when you get home at night, you're not thinking, oh, I should go to the gym. Oh, I should do that. No, you are in control. You can use that time for some other great things. So anyways, and I'm not saying anything about people that go to gym after work, because actually that's a great time to go to the gym because you're transitioning. So you schedule that. All right. But a lot of people, I'm too tired, I don't want to do it, by the end of the day. But first in the morning, it's a whole different mindset. Okay. All right. What do you think, Sarah?
Yes, and I did write on here, make your bed. There's a motivational speech from, I think he's a Marine or something, on YouTube. I saw like maybe 6 years ago. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but he talks about the first thing they learn is to make their bed, because when they come home after a long day and they look at their bed, it's just this, like, they've accomplished something even if they've accomplished nothing. So I'm a huge proponent of making your bed in the morning. It literally changed my life when I started doing that.
Yeah, I like to make my bed in the morning, but I also like to make sure that I leave my kitchen completely clean before I go to bed. And it doesn't always happen, especially if I do the midnight eating, and then I'll put a plate in there, whatever. But waking up to a clean kitchen, it is also very cathartic, because your brain does not have to think about, okay, I got to get these dishes done, I got to get this done, I got to get that done. And I don't know about you, however, I am not a person that can focus until my environment is in order. When my environment is in order, I am unstoppable. But if it's not in order, I have to first clean everything, put it in order, sweep the floor, and I make sure that everything's in order before I actually start to focus, which is kind of another daily do that I do every morning. Okay, well, if you'd like to join the Marines, click below. Okay.
That is not a plug for the Marines, people.
No. Okay. All right, let's talk about correspondence. And we have a lot to talk about. You think correspondence, it seems pretty simple, but let's just start. Who do I need to correspond with today? And remember, for the most part, your correspondence with family and friends is up above. So that's not really who we're plugging in here. We're plugging in the people that are you're professionally attached to in your life. Okay, so we're plugging in the professional connections here, and those professional connections are not just for your projects, but you may have to call a plumber. You may have to call, and well, that could go up in the daily do, actually. I was thinking more, not a plumber, but I was thinking more like if you need to call your accountant for your business, okay? Do your, your business, your desk day where you may have to call some people for some bills, some accounting work, things like that. That would go in this category, along with any business connection that you're needing to contact. And then in the am I waiting for, that's whoever you're waiting for to respond. So we're actually waiting for, right now, we're waiting for Ali Abdul. Ali Abdul, he has a YouTube channel. I've sent out a request to him. I'm waiting for him to come back to us, all right, regarding our planner. So that's one of our connections on that. Okay, we're also waiting to hear from another connection on a contract that we just sent out yesterday. So we're waiting to hear on that. But I also need to contact that person. So we're waiting to hear, but at the same time, I also need to call her on Sunday. So that would go over into the call department.
And I use this quite a bit for, like, if I've sent out something that needs approval and I cannot move that project any further unless I hear back. So I'm really waiting for like client approval on something. I use this a lot here.
That exactly that's what you really want to do here. Now, here's the tip. So when we're talking about correspondence, when we're talking about today, it's quite different actually, not just professionally and personally and professionally. So I can actually contact my banker like I had to today on I can rec message him, DM my banker, right? I can just DM him and ask him to take care of something for me. And he DMs me back. Now that is, we couldn't do that 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So we would have email, we have telephone calls. I always recommend that if you have a good relationship with the client or the person you're dealing with, you get them on WhatsApp, get them on a direct signal, get them on a direct messaging chat, because it really saves a lot of time when it's just the back and forth kind of quick things. When you have to call, you have to call. But if there's just going to be quick back and forth, direct messaging on an app is really, really good. And you can set, like I have a WhatsApp business and personal, right? And you can set that up. And that way you can do it with that. Now, the key here, though, is how you direct message. Now, this can be whether it's an email, whether it's a direct message, apart from a phone call. The first thing you want to do when it comes to correspondence, and this is another one of our really key tips, and that is keep it short. You need to learn how to say what you want to say in a few words. And to keep it short, you do not write the backstory. You don't need to write the backstory. They already know the backstory. I tell the joke about a friend. We were planning a dinner, and she wanted to invite someone specific. So it was probably about 11 in the morning. She said, "Oh, I'm going to invite so-and-so. Maybe she'd like to come." I said, "Great." About 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm seeing her on her phone, and she's still. I said, "Oh, did you contact so-and-so?" And she goes, "Yeah, well, I'm still writing the text." And I said, "What? It's 2 hours." I said, "What are you writing?" And she's writing the whole backstory of the invite, right? And I see this so often. It's the backstory. Well, guess what? You don't need the backstory. I remember my brother telling me one day, I was writing him about something we were working on, and he goes, "Just ask me the question. I don't need the backstory." And I realized that is something, we feel like, we don't want to just interrupt him abruptly with a question. But in today's communication cycle, today it is better to make it short and sweet. And if they want backstory, they'll ask you for the backstory. Okay? So if they want the backstory, they'll ask you. But in the meantime, keep it short, keep it succinct, tell them exactly what you want to say, and then develop that conversation out as need be. Real important, and it'll save you a ton of time. So that is, and the same with emails, real short. When I talk to people, we do a lot more kind of personal types of things and chatting and talking. But when we're just going back and forth on things, we really want to keep it sweet and short and simple. And let me just tell you one more quick tip for the hyper-focused ADD people. All right, when you begin to write, you write exactly what you want to say. And if you're, okay, I need you to do this, blah, 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 blah. Okay. and you write what you want to say, and then you go back and you kind of smooth it out. Instead of saying, I need you to do this right now, you say, oh, can you please do this for me right now? But you go back after you write out the core content so you don't lose focus. After you get the core content out, then go back and put in, good morning, how are you? All of the niceties that are really super important in communication. So you definitely always want to be cordial, you want to be thankful, and you want to be personable. And so if you're really hyper-focused, you're really focused on what you want to say. Boom, boom. So write that down. It's quick, it's short, and then go back and put those really important parts of the personality in. Okay, so that's another tip for communication, especially how to capture your thought at the moment and then, create the conversation around it. All right, how are we doing there, Sarah?
We're doing good. We have about 20 minutes, so we'll have to move on to projects and then the Blockit.
Okay, so the next thing we have here is our top 3 projects that we're working on. So if you have only one project, great. Okay, if you have 5 projects, you're not going to get to all 5 of them. So 2 of them need to be somewhere else. They need to be in next month, next week, somewhere else, not in front of you. So you want to write your top 3 projects down. And this can be by category, but let's just say, okay, as we talked about, we can, and also you can go back to your weekly planner. At this point, right now, you can really go back to your weekly planner. And so today is Thursday, okay? So what do we have in for today, Sarah? This was Thursday.
We have the graphics for promo and title card template for the 90-day challenge, script for promo video, and create the email series. So I'm going to put 90-day challenge here.
Okay.
And then are we going to see?
We have another project because you sent me something I actually have to edit. So that's a project we're working on today.
I'm going to put Academy because that's like an Academy project, Academy packages or whatever. And then community.
Yes.
The community. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so right now, when you come in here, if you plugged in the things you want to work on in your week, all right, this is where you're going to plug them in, right here. And if you wake up in the morning and you think to yourself, oh, I need to work on this today, all right, I need to work, if you're doing work for somebody else, oh, I need to get so-and-so's project done, right? Oh, that's one of the things that we're working on. One of our book projects, we have a cover and the internal pages that we're working on for a client. So that's part of our academy, actually. Oh, that's okay. What do you get there?
I put client work.
It's perfect. I do the same thing. I do exactly the same. So, so anyways, you just put in what you already have. And what you want to do is you want to stick to your top 5 things. Now, if you've been with us, I'm going to show you a little picture here. Okay, let me reach over and grab this. Okay. So if you've been with us, one of the things that you want, we really believe in increments, really working in increments. And the more you can drill down, okay? So it's kind of like having the big picture. I'm not an artist, folks. I'm not. We have a big picture. And then you have the next layer, which is the next project. And you want to drill down to as most specific as you can get. And I'm going to show you that when we come over to the Blockit. But you really want to think, okay, if I'm going to create an email funnel today, that's my goal for the 90-day challenge. One of this, and it's right here, the email series, right? Okay, I'm going to create an email series today. Then I'm really going to have to drill down into what that entails. And what I like to do, and I know Sarah likes to do this, so we actually do this, we actually create templates that actually have a list of all the things that we need to do when we're doing XYZ. If we're building a video, we actually have all the things that we have to do for that video that we can check off. These are checklists, everything for a funnel, everything for a podcast. And so that makes it super simple. We keep all of that content in Notion. And so if you don't know how to do that, you can definitely get into one of our upcoming workshops or coaching and learn how to do that. But for example, the email series. So this is developing out an email series requires a few steps. And so here we go. Now, what's going to happen is we are going to put all of these projects, the things that we want to do, into our Blockit Planner. Now, the goal of, or the Blockit side of the planner, let's put it that way, I apologize there. Okay, to the Blockit side of the planner. Now, Sarah, go up just a little bit. Okay. Now, notice you have a grow goal. Now, this is, we don't, you know, there's a lot of great planners and people that will give you lists of questions to ask yourself in the morning. We also have those, but not inside the planner. We are really here to focus. So the grow goal, though, is the one thing we ask you to write down every time you're doing a daily do and Blockit planning session. So one of the things that I wrote down for tonight's session is the grow goal is to be present. So let's just put that in. And you know, the grow goal could be to stay focused, okay, to be present, to accomplish XYZ. You can have your grow goal, but usually it's some kind of character trait that you want to manifest during the day towards your work. And I think one of my favorites is being present, because being present means that you're not all over the place. You're there, you're showing up. And so being present. And tonight we're here, we're being present, we're showing up. And that's super, super important. How many have ever gone out to eat with someone who is on their phone the entire time? They are not present. And that is not, to me, a real fulfilling situation. So anyways, being present. Okay, put your date in. All right. So the first thing, we have our projects. Now, what you want to do, you don't have to write them down in priority order, but you do want to start blocking these times in priority order. And let me share a little bit about what you're looking at right now, the Blockit. The goal of the Blockit is to stay focused for a period of time on a project. And we suggest 50 minutes, 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off, because you need to keep that, for your circulation and your stretching and, thinking and doing other things, changing from one project to another. You can have small, like let's say it's only going to take you 10 minutes. It's going to take you 10 minutes, but you need to block it or you won't get it done. You can put 10 minutes in there. You can put 30 minutes. You can put any amount of time in there. But you want to stay focused. Then the next thing is you connect it to the project. So this is project number 1, P1, the amount of time you're going to put on that. The next thing is the needle mover. Now, the needle mover is the subcategories that you have written down for the project you're working on. That's your 5 things you're going to work on or want to start, completing, and you're working on them today. Okay, so you have your 5, but then you want to prioritize what's the most important. And in our case right now, it is the email series. This is very important because this is our communication with our members. And it's not only our communication with our members, but we have actually promotions for free downloads and products going on all the time. So we have people signing up all the time, and they need to have an email from us, an engagement from us right away. So email is critical to growing your audience. However, if I just write down email series and I come and sit down for my 50 minutes and I have my list of 10 things that I need to get done on that email series, I may spend 5 or 10 minutes deciding which one I'm going to work on. All right, this can happen with anything. If you don't think ahead, then what will happen is you will spend time deciding, choosing what you're going to work on. So when you're planning this, you say, okay, what's the most important? Remember, we're going to drill down. This is my beautiful art here, but we're going to drill down to what's the most important. That's the task action. The TA is the center of the nucleus. That's what we're going to do. And here it is. In our case, we're going to plan the flow for the series. And then we're going to design the hero banner, start writing the first email. So this is, we finish the flow, then we're going to move to the hero banner, and then we're going to write the first email. So that's what we're going to do, how we're going to do that. Okay. So now we come to the next thing that we want to do. Okay. And so, Sarah, let's put in here, finish the landing page. All right, let's put finish the landing page. All right, Sarah, tell us, what's the task actions that you need to do to finish the landing page?
So to finish it, which let's just say it's well underway, I'm going to fine tune all of the placement copy I have in there. Placement copy, I'm going to design or tweak, I'll say design any artwork that needs to be done for the page. I need to fine tune the layout or the, how all the sections are laid out. And then I'm gonna connect to backend.
Okay. Okay, so we have 4 things there. All right, now remember, you want to really focus on one thing. You can write them all down, but the task, because we're going for that most important nucleus. However, you want to start with your 1, then move to your 2, move to your 3. But how long do you think that'll take you, Sarah, to get that done? Do you think you can do it in 150 minutes, or you might need 250 minutes?
I would be pretty close to the 50. I'd probably go over a little bit, but not much.
Okay, Excellent. Okay, so then we can move on to the next project. And when you're doing this over time, you're going to know, you're going to get a sense of how long something will take. And if you're just starting on a project, I always tell our clients, double the time. Now, it may take less, it may take actually a little more. But when you're starting a project and you're learning as you go, or you're working through something as you go, it always takes twice as long as you think it's going to take. Even if you think you can pound that out in 4 hours, you might as well plan on 8. So it's just a really good guideline that I use, and it works well. Okay, so so we have that now. The program back end.
So with that, it would be, we're on Kajabi as the platform for the Academy. And so they have these offer pages. So I would edit all the offer pages, make sure my offers are all set up correctly. I'd connect any forms. If there were forms on the landing page, make sure those are connected, add automations to the proper places, and then I would connect to emails.
Excellent, excellent. And then the last thing we have here, okay, how long do you think that will take you?
I would say if it really would depend if most of this is, started, but if everything was started, it would take probably about 50 minutes, but if not, I would need 2 of those.
So why don't you put 2 in? Okay, so we can show our audience that you can actually, so if you don't, if you're focused, you're going to focus on one part, that one part's going to take you 50 minutes, and you want to work on another part, and you have the time to do it, you want to drop in a second block. Now, let me say something right here too. This Blockit part, all right, doesn't have to be completely filled in. What we recommend when it comes to focus time is 2 to 4 hours a day. When you're working on a project that needs your undivided attention, this is focus time, then you want to really plug those things in first, which is what we're doing right here. Okay, so you don't have to fill in the whole thing. You want to at least get on the schedule. And now we're just putting in times here, but you can use the flexibility that you have. One might be in the morning, one might be in the afternoon, 2 might be at night. All right, depending on your schedule. Okay, so but you have the flexibility now to dynamically create your schedule. You're not looking at a planner right now that has all of those little lines already filled out with the times and the whole thing. You are actually creating space for you to create and get things done.
May I interject?
Of course.
So what I find for myself is I'm a hyper-focused person when I'm inside of a project or I'm working on something. And because of that, because I'm so hyper focused, after that session or when I'm done with that task, I like to get up. That's what I use my 10 minutes for. But my next block of time, I use a shorter block of time. And that's when I might plug in like follow up on a contract or something that's not so intense, so that I can personally recharge, doing a lot of like little things that that's kind of opposite like creating and things like that. It's more administrative. And then after I bang out like a session of those little things, then I will go back into hyper focus mode. But I don't like to do tons of back-to-back hyper focus because I just get too drained. So that's kind of my method to laying out my day.
I agree. I actually have a very similar method, and it's in those incremental times. That's when I also like to task batch, or like For example, if I need to get out, you just said, you need to look at contracts and get them out, some kind of admin work, or if you need to get emails and make calls, you want to put that kind of time in there. If it's, at the right time, usually for me in early afternoon, if I want to go out for an hour, grab some lunch, go shopping, I'll put it all together and I'll go out for about an hour. And get that. That's normal, pretty normal. You get an hour lunch or whatever you do. So I do this. I do something very, very similar. And the other thing we do teach or share, especially for those of you that are hyper focused, remember this is a guideline. And again, I said this earlier, that a hyper focused individual, distraction is deadly. And what I mean by deadly, it's not going to kill you, but I'm saying it really curtails it. It like causes your momentum to diminish and your projects to continue to pile up because you get distracted. And so when you're a hyper-focused person, let's just say Sarah was working on the landing page, okay? And she didn't schedule 2 of them, just one. She thought she'd have it done in 50 minutes. However, she's in a flow, she's in a vein, and she really can't stop until she finishes that. So for the hyper-focused individual, that is perfectly fine. You want to go in a project, you want to work on it until there's a break in your brain. When the brain breaks, you break. And usually it's not too much more than your 50 minutes. It could be an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes, maybe 30, or sometimes 2 hours. But that really, the brain actually has to make that disconnect, because once it makes the disconnect, then you can walk away. You're no longer in that hyper-focused state. So I think that's always important for people that are hyper-focused to know it's okay to go 10 minutes over, 15 minutes over when you're in a Blockit time. Go until that you break from the flow of that thought.
And last thing I want to add here is, when you're working on projects that are going to move your business forward, but if you're in a service type organization like we are, and we also have clients, and we're working on projects that pertain specifically to moving the business forward, it's like a balancing act sometimes where there are unplanned things that come up through the day that you have to make room for, that you have to have some flexibility. And so what I find is I will plan like half of my day for the most part, and then if I'm staying on track, then I can go my second half of the day and start planning that out. But if I need to have flexibility to place something else where in another slot, then I'll do that, and then I'll just come back to it. I'll just assign a new time to it.
Great. And that also leads us to one other thing. So I think you're getting the drift of how to do this. Now, again, you're going to take your most pressing, and if you want to work on all 3 of your projects for the course of one day, you want to pick the ones that are going to move the needle forward, and then you want to be specific about what you're going to do. But also, let's say you have an appointment. You have to go to the dentist. All right. You want to make sure you put that on your Blockit, because you're building your schedule around the different things that are going to be taking place. You have to pick up the kids after school. You have to take your soccer mom. You got to take them to soccer, right? So you want to put the things that are going to, the things that you're going to have to get up and go out and do, you want to get them on your calendar too, because then when you go to block your time, you're going to be blocking around those things And you're not going to be saying, oh, I forgot I had this. Okay. So that way you build something very holistic here. And I want to share one more thing about this page. You see the place that it says a little place to jot down all those things that come to mind. So let me share a tip that is, it can be really life-changing, scientifically proven. And that is when you start to sit down to focus, your brain, it's very rare that it's going to comply the way that you want it to comply. You'll start to focus on something, you'll start reading what you need to do, and you're working, and all of a sudden it'll say, you need a cup of coffee. Or it'll say, hey, did you plan that menu for dinner tomorrow night? Or, hey, did you call Sally? All of these thoughts, these what I call disruptors, all right, will pop into your mind. And the key is not to act on them in a physical way. But what you do is write down at the bottom first, write it down. I want a cup of coffee. I need to call Sally. I need to get the menu planned for tomorrow night. Every thought that pops into your mind that is different than what you're working on, write it down, and write it down right here. Because there's something about the brain that when you write it down, it's one thing when you type it, it's okay. But when you actually use a physical pencil, the brain actually thinks that you have now put that in motion. And the brain will actually stop bugging you. It won't tell you that it wants a coffee anymore. It will not tell you anymore to call Sally. Once you write it down, the brain thinks you're actually working on it. It may not think you're done, but it does think you're working on it. So it deletes it from the file of thoughts. Boom, it's gone, or it files it somewhere else. It doesn't dwell on it anymore. And all of us have experienced when those nagging thoughts just keep nagging and nagging until finally you act. Well, if you write it down, it will never nag you. So that is how we deal with disruptors in Blockit planning. All right, Sarah, I think we've covered about, except one thing. I get so excited every time I look at the Blockit Planner and the pages. I want you to see down in the little corner there, that cute little square guy. He's so cute. Can you blow him up, Sarah? He's so adorable. All right. I don't know if we can. All right. So here we are. Oh, there he is. We actually have a whole series. You'll see them in the planner. These are called our Blockit Boops. Soon to be, we are actually creating NFTs with our Blockit Boops. So, but Blockit Boops are there to make you smile and to motivate you with whatever task you're working on at the time.
They're so cute. I love them. And they all have a personality, and they will be
they can get stressed. Go ahead.
Yes. Each one will have a story. So yes, we're looking forward to those.
We really are. We really are. Anything you'd like to add? So this is how we plan out the day. And the other one last thing I guess I did when I was thinking about the things I wanted to share. One, the task batching, we talked about that for streamlined focus, putting like-minded things together and then working on them, and before you shift over to something else, even especially if you're going out running errands and you're exercising, put all your health care together, your learning together, blah, blah, blah. All right, sleep is so important. We all know that. However, one of the things that, again, I want to say, and this is daily planning is the key to growth, especially for your business. It's the key to really achieving high productivity, to being a high performer. And a lot of times, the things that we really want to do, again, out of sight, out of mind. If they're not in front of us, we don't create the habit. So I'm going to teach you right now how to create a habit in one day. And that is to connect the habits you want to create with a habit that you're already doing. So if you want to make sure that you work on your Blockit Planner, or you plan every morning, then put the planner or your paper, whatever you're using, put that next to the coffee machine. If you get a cup of coffee every morning, if you brush your teeth every morning, which I think you might do, lay your planner across your sink so you don't forget, right? Right there. If you want to exercise every morning, you're going to get up, folks, and you're going to put on clothes. The difference is just don't put on clothes. Put your gym clothes on first and then go to the gym and come back and do your other clothes, all right? Connect it to a habit that you already have. If you sit down and you do meditation and prayer, put your planner right there with the book that you're reading. So it's not out of sight, out of mind, under the bed, catching dog hairs. No. If you want to create a habit of daily planning, connect your planner and then move forward from there. Okay, so that's about it on planning.
All right. So that's a wrap for today. Thank you for joining us. We hope that we see you next week with what we have to bring to you for next week, which I don't have that in front of me, so I'm not sure on our topic, but I hope that you enjoyed our planning series and as we walked you through the Blockit Planner. And we ask you to share, like, and subscribe if you like our content, and share it with a friend or someone that you know that's growing projects or their business forward. So with that, I say goodbye and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Hold on. I also want you to make sure when you're watching the video, check out the links below. All
Yes.
right. We have some wonderful free guides for you. They're not just downloads, but we actually have workbooks, and we have entire guides developed for you to overcome self-sabotage, procrastination, to actually how to build an influence platform. All of that's available for you. So make sure you check out the links and subscribe to us today so you get our emails weekly and monthly. Okay. All right, Sarah.
All right.
Good to see you today.
Take care. Thank you for joining us. See you later.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.